Welcome. My name is Stick. This is Woodward Sports. And for the past week or so, I've been hopping on about 8 a.m. to talk about some Detroit sports stuff. Since the Lions are on a bye week, it's kind of a slow Lions week right now. So I wanted to talk about something that's been really bothering me for about a week and a half. And I mean, it really, really bothers me. And now that the games have been played and the series is almost over, I think we can all agree we can stop comparing the 2020 Heat to the 04 Pistons. To me, that is probably one of the biggest insults you could ever have to the 04 Pistons, because this 2020 Heat team, even though they were good and they made it through the Eastern Conference, they could be the worst team in the finals in NBA history. I would put them up there maybe with Allen Iverson's 76ers, Jason Kidd's Nets teams. So those were all pretty bad teams that never had a shot at winning a title, even though they got to the championship round. So throughout the internet and throughout the playoffs, when the Heat were winning without a superstar, they got Jimmy Butler, and then they got some young guys. Everybody was saying, "Man, this team reminds me of the 04 Pistons. They don't have superstars. They play tough. They're hard-nosed defense. They're playing the Lakers in the finals." But as we've learned now through the entire playoffs with the Lakers and the Heat ain't good. They're not even close to the 04 Pistons. And then when you break down the roster even further, you're going to see there is absolutely zero similarities between these teams, except that they're playing the Lakers in the finals and that they play hard. So let's talk about the 04 Pistons. Really outside of Jimmy Butler, he's the only guy I think would actually fit the mold of the 04 Pistons. The other guys, I don't know if they'd fit on that team. I don't even know if they would play on that team. They would probably sit on the bench. But you get into like a Chauncey Billups, okay? He was our point guard. Number 3 overall pick in the draft by the Celtics. And then, yes, he got bounced around. Where did he go? Chauncey went to Toronto. He went to Denver. He went to Orlando. And he went to Minnesota. Then he finally landed here in Detroit. So Chauncey was a number 3 overall pick, went all around the entire damn NBA, and he finally found a home in Detroit. Rip Hamilton, number 7 overall pick. He was in Washington. He was playing shooting guard there. Then they moved him to small forward, trying to fit him into the offense. And then they got some dude, I think you may know him. His name's Michael Jordan. He's a pretty good basketball player. He went to Washington, and of course they put him at small forward, moving Rip back to shooting guard, moving him all around. He wasn't comfortable there. Then they shipped him off to Detroit for Jerry Stackhouse. So that was a great trade. I was shocked when we made that trade. But needless to say, Rip Hamilton, number 7 overall pick, lots of talent, kind of bounced around, underappreciated. Then you get to Big Ben Wallace. I mean, he was undrafted. How much more unappreciated do you want to be than undrafted? Dude worked his way from Washington. We got him and Chucky Atkins in a great deal, probably a deal that changed the history of the Detroit Pistons. But once again, you got Ben Wallace, who worked his ass off to become Defensive Player of the Year. It's not something that was handed to him. And you got my boy Rasheed. I love Sheed when he was in Portland and, that Western Conference Finals where Kobe threw the alley-oop to Shaq. Rest in peace, Kobe. Right over Rasheed. That video's got to play in his head over and over and over. And then we got him here in Detroit from Atlanta. We got him on a trade. But once again, Sheed bounced all over the place. One of the greatest power forwards ever to play in the NBA. I will argue that with anybody. He was one of the first real stretch fours that we'd ever seen, plus the dude's defense. You got to love Sheed on the block. But either way, so you got that core unit of guys that were looked over, that were passed over, that were hungry as hell, and that were veterans. These guys were veterans. It's not like they just showed up one day and became a great team. Like, they were in the league a long time. And so let's compare them to the Miami Heat roster, okay? Yeah, Tayshaun Prince also. Tayshaun was, it was his second year when they really busted out. Tayshaun came out in 2003 when he shut down Tracy McGrady in the first round. So even Tayshaun, he was a number 22 pick, which wasn't really high. He was more of a glue guy. So yeah, Tayshaun obviously a part of that roster. But then we get into the Miami Heat. You know, like I said, Jimmy Butler is probably the only Pistons-like guy on that team. He's bounced from Chicago. He went to Minnesota. Now he's in Miami. And everywhere he goes, that dude effing wins, man. Jimmy Butler is a winner. He is a dog. He's an attack animal. That's why I think he would have made a great Piston. And he probably would have been the only one to fit in on that 04 team. But outside of him, you got Tyler Hero. Awesome. Love Tyler Hero. Love his slag. Love his little lip thing he did with a mean look at the end of the game when he actually hit the shot. You know, nothing wrong with that. Love Tyler Hero. Love how he's pulling all these hoes off of Instagram. Like, dude is a legend. But he's a rookie. He's the youngest player ever to start in an NBA Finals game. If you remember, our rookie in 04 didn't even play. It was the human victory cigar. Darko sat his ass on the end of the bench, and that's what would have happened to Tyler Hero if he was on the Pistons. He would have sat his ass at the end of the bench because Larry Brown was not going to play young players. Then you get into Duncan Robinson out of Michigan. Duncan Robinson, great shooter. He's going to evolve into one of the greatest shooters, I think, in the NBA. I love the way he comes off. He gets his own shot. Duncan Robinson plays ball. But he's not a Piston, 04 Piston player. They're like Duncan Robinson, I don't know where he would have cracked the lineup. You're going to put him in over Lindsey Hunter and Mike off the bench? No, you can't do that. You're going to take it. Like, I just don't see where Duncan Robinson would fit in on the 04 Pistons. And then you got Bam. I love Bam. He's got a better offensive game than Ben Wallace does, but he ain't Ben Wallace. Sorry, Bam, love you, but you're not Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace was the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, led the league in rebounds and blocks. Bam, also young. He's got time. So as much as we want to compare the Miami Heat to the 04 Pistons, it just can't happen, especially since tomorrow at 9 p.m. will probably be the last game of their season. We pretty much swept the Lakers through the finals. The Heat are having a rough time even getting a win. Jimmy Butler had to put the whole damn team on his shoulders just to get one win in not in L.A., they're in the bubble, but essentially in L.A. So that's all I just wanted to say. This has been bothering me since the playoffs started. And can we get over this anytime there's a team without a bunch of big superstars? Can we stop comparing them to the 04 Pistons until after they win the championship? Because that's the requirement, right? It's not just, oh, they play hard. They're like the Pistons. Oh, they play good defense. They're like the Pistons. It's no. They need to win the championship to be like the 04 Pistons. Because that's what made them special. We're not sitting here talking about the 05 Pistons. We're not talking about the 03 Pistons. We're talking about the 04 Pistons. That is the standard. They won the championship. So quit trying to deem these guys the 04 Pistons just because they play hard. Here's a secret. Every team plays hard. It's the NBA. They're professionals. They're supposed to play hard. But the 04 Pistons were special, man. They were different. They held teams under 70 points. 70 points. Teams are scoring that in a half. And I know defense has changed and the offensive rules have changed. But I still think you put that 04 Pistons team on the floor today, they're only going to give up like 85 a game. That's it. They're not going to do like 130, 140. Like, these games are out of control. You put Ben Wallace in that paint. You put Sheed in there. Chauncey Billups was ahead of his time. You got Rip. Like, that team is perfect for any era. Any era you could put the 04 Pistons in and they can play. Bad Boys era, 04 Pistons can play. This loose ball area where everybody's jacking up three, 04 Pistons could play. So please, for me, for the rest of Detroit, for Chauncey Billups, for Rip Hamilton, for Tayshaun Prince, for Rasheed Wallace, for Ben Wallace, for Larry Brown, for Mike Abdenauer, the damn trainer, Mike Abdenauer, he'll even tell you, for George Blaha, for Memo Okor, for Duncan Darvingham, for Corliss Williamson, for everybody that was on that 04 team. Quit comparing this Heat team to the 04 Pistons. And that's all I wanted to say this morning. Hope you enjoy your Thursday.